How have you been? It's been
You know what?
really
I've got to
strange,
point
yeah.
out, I love your background. The whole glittery stuff. I love it.
I do love a bit of glitter. I've got little knives as well today.
I was just looking at my wall behind me thinking, this room's very plain. I need to do something with it. I've got, you can see in the corner down there, I've got like a little thing that's supposed to go on the wall, but it's on the floor right now. And I've only just noticed that you can kind of see it behind me.
Do you know what? There's all these things. I mean, you've been going live quite a lot though during lockdown.
Yeah, but I've not been doing them in this room. I've actually been doing them in my main living room. So I basically, it was really funny because when I first done it, there was like nothing there. It was a plain wall. And as time went on, every week, I was adding, like I added shelves into the corner, and it started like the room just started evolving, and people were like, have you done up your room? And I'm like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I think
quite funny.
I don't know if you saw that P with Joe Wicks, but he started changing the background and stuff, didn't he? He started putting different things in the background and like running little competitions. So we haven't quite got to that stage yet. We're actually wrapping up the series, so you're one of the last shows that we'll be doing on this series.
I know.
I know, and the time just runs by, like you have an hour and it just flies. But guys, thank you for joining us. Oh, quite a few of you here now. How's everyone doing? Let us know in the comments how you guys are, what you've been up to. So I've invited Vallisa here. Vallisa is a DJ, and you specialise in small wedding entertainment, don't you?
I do, indeed.
Which is so perfect right now.
It is right now, yeah. I do a lot of like female only events, a lot of mendis, jagos. I do bigger weddings as well. I do bigger receptions as well. But being a female DJ, especially in the Muslim market, that's what they're looking for, is the female DJ, which is why just by word of mouth, I get a lot of bookings, and, you know, families booking me. Like it's really strange because I've had families where I've seen them evolve. So I've seen, like, I've done the first sister's wedding, and by the time we get to like the second sister's wedding, she comes along, the first sister comes along with a baby, and I'm like, my life hasn't changed in this many years, and you turn up with a baby, and then by the like the brother's wedding, it is to see, yeah. And then, you know, when they come over and they're like, oh, do you remember my husband? And I'm sitting there going, yeah. Because I've done so many brides, and, you know, I forget. I
think it's one of the really nice parts of being in the wedding industry, that it's so common, because with all the suppliers, I think, you know, we all get recommended again. We all kind of work with the same families again and again. If you do a good job, you know, why wouldn't they call you back? And so, yeah, it's amazing how you kind of go from doing them at prom and then doing their engagements, weddings, and then you're on to, you know, baby showers and whatnot. Yeah. So you're going to share your top 10 tips with us today.
I am.
And I'm really excited to hear all about it, because usually I pass you as I'm leaving. I've kind of done my bit, and I normally pass the entertainment guys.
Sometimes I don't even know who the makeup artist is, because, you know, I wouldn't necessarily, and sometimes it's done at the house, and so by the time the bride gets to me, I would never have even met the makeup artist. So it's quite interesting.
It is because like our paths don't really cross, unless sometimes when I'm leaving, normally I see you guys setting up or dragging in like massive speakers and stuff like that. But now we're having these small weddings. You know, what is the sketch with that? What have you got to tell us?
So with the small weddings, the difference is, like, for me generally, is that I'm asking, like, I've got a Mendi next week, and I'm saying to the bride, I need you to send me over as much music. Normally it's kind of like, you know, if people want to request stuff on the day, it's absolutely fine. But with the whole, you know, trying to keep the social distancing, I've had to say to the bride, can you ask your friends and family if there's any specific songs you want? Get them sent over to me in advance. I don't mind taking requests, but it's going to be like a paper and pen sort of thing where you can write it down. It's not always easy to read the requests either, or they'll go and write the wrong song. So, like, an example would be Morni is called Morni by PMC, but people call it the Bale Bale song. And I have to always specify, when you say Bale Bale, are you talking about like Bin Roy Bale Bale, or are you talking about Bale Bale as in Morni? I can't do that anymore because I won't be able to speak.
You know, don't even consider. So
I always, whenever I meet PMC, I always say to him, why did you not call it the Balle Balle song just to make DJs' lives so much easier? And he's like, it says Morny in there. I'm like, yeah, but no one calls it Morny.
Yeah, that's, to be honest, they should use keywords, to be fair, that
Yeah.
people are going to remember when they
To be
name
fair, I
their
don't
song.
think he has a reason as to why he called it Morny instead of Balle Balle, but you know.
He decided. Maybe it was about something else and then changed it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, do you want me to get into my first tip then?
Yeah, please. Let's hear what you've got to tell us.
I've got my whole list in front of me. So
Fantastic.
the first one that I was going to say for brides is
choose. One second before you start. There's somebody who has missed every single show and they've made a special appearance tonight. So I told them the shows are wrapping up now, and now she's put in the comments, "Where's my shout out?" So I shout you out. She knows who she is. She's been shouted out. Okay.
Oh, so you're not going to say her name then?
You were rudely interrupted.
It's fine. I can accept that. I don't mind. So my first tip would be to choose a DJ that you're comfortable with. So a lot of people, especially for bigger events, maybe not just for the Mendies, but for like bigger events, they tend to pick a DJ because they've got a name or because they're from a certain company. But if you haven't met your DJ, you don't know your DJ, you might not feel comfortable with that DJ. And this person, like, you know, I know the hair and makeup is important. All the other suppliers are important. Your food's important as well. But at a reception, at a wedding reception, people are going to remember the music. They're going to remember whether they danced for half an hour because they thought the DJ was rubbish, or they danced for the full like 4 hours. So if you don't feel comfortable with your DJ, then you're going to feel like you messed up yourself. So I always say that.
Also, there was, I think I went to a wedding once quite a few years ago, and I remember that during like the dinner time when they were serving the dinner, but the music was blaring the whole time, and I couldn't hear the people at the table. Like, forget the people across the table, I couldn't hear the person sitting next to me, and I thought it was so inappropriate, and it really affected me enjoying my time. So I really did feel like, I just actually want to go home because I can't talk to anyone. And a lot of people you only meet at weddings and funerals, dare I say it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's an important thing. But how do people find you guys then? Do most people come through recommendation, or what are your tips on finding the right
well, for me, I always say shop around. So for me, like being a female DJ, there's not a lot of us. If you type in female DJs, only about 5 will pop up anyway, especially if you're looking for specific DJs that can play Bollywood and Bhangra. You're only going to end up with about, 5 that pop up. So I would say always shop around, like speak to the DJs, talk to them, find out, because we're all our contact details are online. You can find us. I do get recommendations, and normally when it's a recommendation, they don't generally shop around because they know they've seen me at a wedding or they've seen me at someone else's event and they know that I can do the job. I get a lot of people, actually. I had one lady that came up to me at someone else's Mendi and she goes, "Hi, can I book you for my daughter's Mendi?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, well, I'll give you my detail." She goes, "Can I pay you the deposit right now?" Amazing. And I'm like, "You can't just pay me cash right now." And she goes, no, we had a really bad experience with another DJ last year at my son's wedding. And she goes, "I just want to book you right now," because she heard me playing music and she really enjoyed it. And I'm like, okay, I'm free on those dates, but I cannot take a deposit from you in cash just sitting at someone else's Mendi. So I was like, call me tomorrow and we'll sort it out. So I think you just have to be very comfortable with who you're booking. And
I think it's important as well, like you said, there's not many people that do female only, and I think a lot of girls, they do just want to let their hair down and chill out, and so it might be important to them to have female only, like you said, especially for like Muslim events, for example. It could be a huge thing. So yeah, that's good. So what are your tips for us then?
So the next one is, and now this is for when pre the event, is allocate enough space for your DJ. So when you've got a big setup, generally you've been to the venue, you've had a look, you've done your floor plan, everything like that. When it's a smaller event, especially when it's in like a smaller hall and stuff, people forget that the DJ needs a certain amount of space. I need at least like a 8-foot table. I need, you know, my 2 speakers to go on the side of me or wherever I'm setting up. And what happens is, like, once I got to this Mendy and it was a very small venue and I was sitting inside a cupboard.
Oh my God.
No joke. My table was inside the cupboard. The speakers were outside, but my table was inside the cupboard, which meant that I couldn't actually get in and out at all. I was just sort of stuck in this cupboard. And I'll tell you a story about another. This is for a bigger wedding. When you allocate, and this actually moves us on to the next next tip as well, is that when you allocate the space to the DJ, make sure that you've let your decor company and stuff know. My biggest gripe is never the makeup artist, never the caterers, it's always the decor company. The decor companies that know me, they make sure that they've left me space. I got to a wedding once and I was actually really early. The decor company were running really late with their setup, and they put all their candelabras and all their chandeliers on the floor where my table was supposed to go. So I went over to them and I said, look, I can give you a little bit of time, but at some point you're going to have to move this. Went on for half an hour. Now at 6 o'clock, I know I had to be ready and set up by 6:30. And I said to the decor company, I said, look, I'm not trying to be rude, but you've got the floor plan in your hand. You knew I was setting up there. You've put your expensive candelabras, which if one drops, it would break. It's not something, you know, that's quite durable. And I said, you put it right in my way. So I said, unless you're going to move your, and there were like, this hall was huge. There were about 50 or 60 candelabras on the floor. So I said to them, look, you're either going to have to move them or I'm setting up my table no matter what. And if one of your things falls over and breaks, it's not my problem. Yeah. And it turned out that they had issues with this decor company in the end anyway. They hadn't finished off setting up stuff they were supposed to. But I always now say to the brides when I speak to them, just make sure you let them know that you don't want your DJ to be late setting up just because the decor company weren't, you know, didn't have the space for them because they put all their stuff there. Which is the next point, is also plug sockets. The decor companies are known for taking up all the plug sockets for all their lights. And the DJ comes in, especially at smaller events, the DJ comes in a lot later than the decor company. And all of a sudden I'm like, right, where do I plug in my equipment? Now, if I plug into the same equipment, in the same sort of stuff that they've got their lights on, the chances are I could blow everything, including my equipment and their lighting and everything.
It really takes quite a lot of power, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And so I always say to brides, make sure you've got some plug sockets. I went to another venue where I was setting up, there were no plug sockets that were working. The whole sort of diameter of the stage had sockets. None of them were working. They wanted me to wire all the way on the opposite side of this room. And I'm looking at the guy going, that's fine, but then I'm going to have wires running through the whole of your hall. So if someone trips over, whose liability is it because your plug sockets aren't working? So I always say, you know, to brides, they need to think about that. It would have been better for them to set me up.
When these events are at home, for example, there's even less sockets available. And
yes.
There's even less space available as well. But I've seen even just on Instagram, the kind of setups people are like having and home setups that are available at the moment are mind-blowing. But I suspect that they do take up quite a lot of space.
Yes.
So, you know, that's a massive consideration.
And it's just, you know,
where else people supposed to dance? Do you know what I mean? The space that you know. So
if you've stuck a table right in front of the DJ, that's just how people, unless they're going to move it when it's time for them to dance, then that's absolutely fine. That's up to them. Yeah.
So the bride needs to know where you're going to set up, the time you need to be ready by. Speak to the decor company to make sure that their stuff is to one side or done by a certain time. Because some people they have like a decor change in between as well, don't they? From their morning event and the evening event. So it's quite a lot to kind of dismantle and change. But I don't know, moving forward, how people are going to do it. If they're doing it at home and it's less expensive, they're all going to, you know, opt for 2-day events and stuff. If you're a bride watching, let us know what you've got planned and what you decide. But but those are massive key points that people don't generally think about. You're right. People think about, you know, what color eyeshadow am I going to have? You know, what color should I put into my necklace? But they don't think, you know, do I have plugs for the music? Entertainment is huge, like you said, to the memorability of an event.
And it can be, it's little things like if you don't have the plug sockets and we're having to wire, especially in a house, and we're having to wire all the way around another side, then the problem you've got is it's the time it takes for us to wire that through is longer than it would. So if we know that, I would give myself an extra half an hour to get to the venue or get to the house. Do you
have a team then? Or is it generally just you? Yeah.
I generally do it on my own unless it's a bigger event. When it's a bigger event, I call a team in. One, because I can't lift the bigger speakers. I can't lift the, you know, like the bigger decks and stuff like that. The bigger lights. I can't even lift the lights. They're so heavy. And the booth won't fit in my car. So my equipment that I have is good for a small event. I can fit it all into my car. People are surprised when they watch me fit it all in my car. I really can fit it into my little 1 Series.
You're an expert.
Yeah, I know how to get it in completely. So even the other day I was putting stuff in my car. It was just a tent and stuff. And my mum said to my uncle, just let her do it because she knows how to fit stuff into cars. I'm like, yeah, I've become an expert in it. But yeah, so if I have bigger events, which I can do, I bring a team in to then come and help me set everything up. Yeah. So the next thing I was going to talk about was talking to your DJ about your music. So when it comes to bigger events, the DJs, and I know DJ H has just popped up here from Kudos, but they're very good at sending your DJ to speak to you and talk to you about your music. When you have smaller events, especially like with me, I can be asking like, do you have a dance performance? If you do, what's the music? Can you get it over to me? Do you have a specific entrance song? And sometimes they're sending me the entrance song on WhatsApp before they're entering. And I'm sitting there going, why have you not sent this through to me when I've been asking and asking and asking? So as a bride, if you're watching, I would say make sure you've let your DJ know what those specific songs are. If it's a performance, people don't do this anymore, but they used to bring it on CD. Most DJs do not have CD players anymore because even the laptop doesn't.
Come up and be like, oh, look what I've got. Can you play
I've had it. When the new MacBooks came out and they came with no CD players, I had to go and buy a CD drive that was a USB drive to fit into my lap, just because people would turn up with CDs and I'd be like, I can't play it. And they're like, no, but I don't have it on anything else. And you can't play it off the phone. The quality is rubbish. So I actually had to go and buy a CD drive so that I could actually play their songs.
Because of point. I remember going, even this is actually a couple of years ago, maybe even 3 years actually. And I went to just a dessert bar and they had like some really banging tunes on. And I go to like this young boy, probably probably about 16, 17, 18, and he took my order. And I said, oh, what CD is this playing in the background? And he just looked at my face and I was like, no, what CD, CD. And he was like, this is like MP3 or whatever. I don't know what it is. This is not a CD. And I felt so embarrassed. I thought, I'm really showing my age. And I felt like such an old woman. I thought, well, do you know what? I really shouldn't be going out. And I definitely shouldn't be asking about music.
You say so that
one of those running up to you with a little CD. Really play my track.
Do you know, once we climbed into my mum's loft and there was my dad used to have a massive collection of like Bollywood tapes, which is where I get my Bollywood knowledge from. And my 2 cousins were with me. They're like 19 now. And they were with me up there. They must have been about 14 at the time. And they looked at this and they go, so what do you do with this? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you do with this? And they're like, well, what is this? And I'm like, it's a tape. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know what like VHSs were. The little reel
used to come out and you used to have to sit there with a pen. And oh
my God, wind it back in.
When the reel went upside down, twisted, and it was like the music used to depressing.
Or the song was on the other side of the tape and you had to turn it around.
Now they're like, Mum, it's glitching. And I'm like, you have no idea.
No, exactly. They have no idea. It's so funny. I'm like, you do not understand the pain now that you've got Spotify and you can just type in a song and it pops up all of a sudden.
They don't have to type anything. They just put Shazam and lift their device in the air and they're like, oh, it's this. And we, Well, anyway, now we're showing our age.
Exactly. So my next tip would be, especially at receptions, but even at Mendy's, choose music that all your guests are going to enjoy. So I always try and say to brides that I I know your friends are there, and I know you want to just let your hair down and have a really good time, but think about other sort of guests that are there as well. Like, would your mum enjoy having a little dance? Maybe, especially, I get this a lot of Bengali events, because Bengali mums love to dance. When they have a female DJ, they love to dance, and they love their Bengali songs. So I always say to the bride, let me know in advance, because then I can play one or two in between. It doesn't mean that the youngsters are all going to go and sit down. It just means that at least your aunts and your mums, and they can all have a good time as well. And it's the same at like big wedding receptions. I find that sometimes you'll go to a wedding reception, like especially me, because I'm into my Bollywood and Bhangra, and I know my R&B and stuff, but I'll go to a wedding reception and it will just be like pumping R&B and all these like grime songs, and I'm thinking, I don't know any of these, and I'm supposed to know these things. Can you imagine what my mum and dad are sitting there thinking? Because they don't have a clue.
Someone to enjoy. I sometimes think it's better to have like timeless classics throughout that everybody can enjoy, because the youngsters know it because they've heard it all their lives, and obviously we know it because it's our generation, or even our parents. Do you know what I mean? So I think sometimes, but I think it depends on,
mix.
you know, if you're playing it. Yeah, a mix. You know, I think also have the timing right. So, you know, when you're having your actual like reception party and dance floor time, you know, save certain tracks for that. And when you're having like dinner time and people sort of sitting, mingling, chatting, still wandering around, you know, have the right appropriate music, because like I said, those kind of things really put me off. Georgie Khan says the oldies and with little dancing ladies. Absolutely. Yeah, they're important, aren't they? We have to make sure they are.
And I also find that, you know what, not in a bad way, they get tired very quickly. So if you put on a couple of the older songs at the start, they're going to have a little dance, and then they're going to get tired, and they're going to sit down. And for the next 3 hours, if you play all those pumping tracks that they don't want to dance to, it really doesn't matter, because they won't care. They've had their little boogie and they're good to go. So I think that's something that I find that a lot of people miss. Whether it's a small event or a big event, they forget that there is a whole host of people there. If you've got a family that doesn't like to dance and only your friends are going to dance, not a problem at all. But if you have got people there that are older that would like to dance, then I think they need to keep that in mind, so that everyone can enjoy themselves as well. My next tip would be probably something that even you would need this generally, is having a running order. So have it written down. Whether
we have been banging on about that, because it's just so important. And I have two extremes of brides generally. Either they are well and truly on it to like the second of how their day is going to go, planned to a T, which I love them brides. And then you have the other extreme where they're just like, oh, it'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, we need a bit more structure than that, because I know, you know, we're doing weddings day in, day out. This is what we do. We know all the things that can go wrong, and how one little glitch can really set the whole day back. And then sometimes you have to miss things that you wanted to do. There were just there's no time. People don't appreciate sometimes, I think, the amount of time it takes for each part of your event.
And something that I've started doing now is that I sort of act like a bit of an event planner, especially at the Mendies, because what happens at the Mendies is the bride has booked a female DJ for a specific reason, and that is because her and her friends and her family want to dance. And then what you get is you get these aunties that come in and they take forever to do the Mendi ceremony, and then the food takes like the longest amount of time. So I now say to my brides, give me like a little checklist. Like, if you're supposed to make your entrance at 6:30, and then dinner's supposed to be served at 7, and your russam's supposed to start at 8, and then dancing's supposed to kick off at 9. I know that it won't always go to plan, but if you were supposed to make your entrance at 6:30 and you don't make your entrance till say 7:30, then I'm going to go and prod your sister or your mum and say, by the way, you're running a bit late, you might want to speed things up. It's then generally up to them. If they don't, then fine. But what I find is, being at Mendy's a lot, is that they think they're going to get like 3 hours of dance time, and it ends up being half an hour. And that is the worst feeling as a DJ, to know that you were there to play that music, not just for the background, but for them to have a dance, and they got half an hour. And it's the worst thing in the world. And I can tell you so many stories of like there was this one, I turned up at a venue at 6:30, and the groom said to me, "Oh, I've been waiting for you since 5:30. Checked the timing, realised that his fiance had got the timings completely wrong. Not a problem, because no guests had turned up yet, because guests are always late. Asian guests never turn up on time. So it wasn't a problem. He was walking around in jeans and a t-shirt. So I said to him, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I refuse to get changed until all the guests arrive," because he goes, "They won't turn up on time." Anyway, I set up, remembering that I'm late. I've literally set up in 20 minutes flat. I've got everything out and got it all up and everything. I'm sitting there and I'm sitting there and I'm sitting there. The bride did not enter till 8:30. They didn't start serving food till 9:30, and at 10:30 is when they started dancing. The hall had to be given back at 11 o'clock. They couldn't go over any more than that. And so at 10:30, they had their dance performance to start with, which took up 15 minutes. Just as I started playing the music, the men came back in and said to me, "Oh, by the way, we need you to cut the music now." And I'm like, "I've played 3 songs." And they're like, yeah, you have to cut the music. We need to clean up. And that was it. And I felt so sorry for the bride. But, you know, if her entrance was supposed to be at 6:30 and she didn't turn up till 8:30, there's an issue there. Someone hasn't planned something somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't stress enough. I think, like I said, in every single episode, planning is so important. It's not, you know, your day may not go to plan, but, you know, the more of a schedule you have, the more likely you're going to get those things fit in, as many of those things as you can to actually fit in, because there are bound to be hiccups along the way. It's just the way it goes. When you've got so many people involved in one event, there's bound to be a few little hiccups, and what you want to do is have the right suppliers on board who are able to, or experienced enough to overcome those with you and help you save time. But, you know, you need to do your part as well by, like you said, turning up on time. I mean, it's really sad, isn't it? Like 15 minutes they must have got.
And I'll tell you another bit, which is the next tip, is that when you give your DJ the timings, have someone who's allocated to go and tell the like, I've had endless amount of events, weddings and mendis, where, say, the groom has walked in, no one's told me it's the groom. Right, no one's told me the groom is waiting at the door. So I've not played the song. He's halfway down the aisle and I'm going, oh my God, and I'm putting the song on. But no one's come to tell me. And how I'm supposed to know that when the hall is so big and there's like 800 people? There's no way I can see that far. I've had one was really bad. It was a Mendy. Sorry?
Do you suggest then to meet for the couple to meet you together? Maybe
it's not, you know what it is, it's not the fact that I didn't know he was the groom, it's because no one let me know. So, you know, one time I've had, it's not just grooms, I've had the groom's family enter, but it looks like the bride's entering. I've had the bridesmaids enter, but it's actually the bride's song that's playing, because they haven't told me that the bridesmaids were coming in first. I've had endless amounts, and there was one that I always remember is, obviously, especially with Muslim weddings, there's prayer time. Now, at prayer time, I'm not Muslim myself, but I understand the music needs to be switched off. So I always say to people, if you are quite religious and you're going to have people praying in the hall, you want me to switch off the music, come and let me know. So that was fine. They came over, they let me know, I switched off the music. And then outside, because there was a lot of like glass windows and I could see all this flashing, and I was like, what's going on there? The bride was making her entrance. But no one had come to tell me that the bride is making her entrance, and the photographers, the flashing was the photographers. So I literally left my desk, because I've got about 20 people near my table who are praying. So I can't just suddenly blast the music because the bride's entered. I've run back outside. Honestly, and I've gone to the bride.
Visualize
you need to stop.
You must be freaking out.
I was freaking out, and I ran outside and I said to the bride, you need to go back to your car and re-enter in 10 minutes time. She goes, why? What happened? I said, they're praying. It's your prayer time. Like, it's I don't even know the prayer times, but they're praying. So surely someone somewhere, like one of your sisters or someone, should have realized and come in the hall first and said, oh, by the way, Vallisa, the bride's about to enter. And I would have gone, oh no, wait, they've just started praying, give it 10 minutes and then enter. And so literally we had to restart her whole entrance again. But yeah, they don't.
This is like another, you know, reason why I had this series as well, because these are just things you don't think about. People pray without thinking, you know, you don't sort of think, oh, it's going to impact, you know, that's such a massive effect of you know, having that music switched off, having the bride enter at that time, people not knowing what's going on, and all because it could have all been avoided by just a simple letting, you know, a simple bit of planning.
Exactly.
But yeah, hopefully all the brides are sitting there with a pen and pad and
writing it all down.
It's
so
important.
Another tip that I would give, and I know a lot of my tips would probably resonate more with like Muslim weddings and Muslim mendis. That's because that's my biggest clientele, but it is the same in other religions as well. Moving forward, yeah, it could be different. But one thing is, let your DJ know if there are any specific things you want. Like, I ask a lot of brides, are you okay with people, once the music starts, it kicks off, are you okay with people videoing, taking pictures and stuff? Because there are people who wear headscarves. There are people who, when it comes to dancing, they take off their headscarves because they know the room's full of females, and then suddenly they see like someone taking pictures or someone videoing, and I've seen women go and sit down, and obviously I can see the whole dance floor, so I'm like, why have they gone and sat down? Then I've looked and I've seen a camera over there, and that woman feels too embarrassed to say to anyone, oh, someone's picked up their camera, someone's picked up their phone, so I'm just going to go and sit in the corner. And that's not fair. That's the whole reason why you've booked a female DJ, is so that, you know, all your guests can have a good time. So I've had brides say to me, you know what, if you see someone with a camera after the dancing starts, make an announcement first. So I make an announcement saying, please, no filming, no videography, no photography. If I've had one where I've actually just stopped the music, the bride told me, be as harsh as you need to. I stopped the music and I said, I'm really sorry, but I've seen someone with a phone. I'm not going to point you out, but can you please put it away? If I see you again, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Wow.
Didn't see any more phones that evening. But it's the same thing with the men leaving the room.
Comfortable as well, isn't it? And actually having
a good time.
Because sometimes when you are the bride, even I have, when the bride is like trying to get ready, she's like, oh, I don't want to say, but you know, they keep on coming to the room, they keep on disturbing me, I don't want anyone to see me until I'm done. And I'm like, you know, I'll tell them, don't worry, I'm sort of really sorry. I'm not, you know, I can't have anybody keep coming in the room. You know, I don't mind for everybody in the family or extended family to think that, oh, you know, that makeup artist is a bit of a, you know, but at least the bride's then protected. You feel so protected over your brides, don't you? You do. And you want it to be as perfect as possible for them, and you want to enable that, don't you?
Well, I had another one. This one was quite interesting. It came down to the whole when the men are supposed to leave the room. Now, again, I did say earlier, I'm not Muslim. I will DJ whether there's a room full of men, a room full of women, a mixed room. It doesn't matter to me. It was, the bride had half an hour. It was one of those mendis that had run late. And so I said, can the men please move into the other room? The girls are now going to dance. And they were being really slow about leaving the room. And this one uncle wouldn't go, right? So I said to the bride's mum, I said, look, your time is ticking. What do you want me to do? And she said to me, I want you to be as rude as you need to be to get him out the room. So I stopped all the music and I said, uncle, can you come over here, please? So I made him come to the front where I was. And I said, look, I'm really sorry. I said, I can start playing the whole pumping Bhangra Bollywood dance music right now. And you can stand here and watch me all you want, because I don't have an issue. But I said, your poor niece has paid me so that her and her friends can have a really good time and you won't leave the room. I said, they've got half an hour left and they just want to be able to dance for like 20 minutes. So he looked at me, he turned around and he walked out the room. And later on, her mum came over and she said, that's my husband's brother. And he thinks it's a bit of a joke. But she goes, he didn't quite understand that it's not funny anymore, because it was funny when he was like, oh, no, I'm not going. I'm going to pretend I'm a woman. But, you know, after like 5 minutes and 10 minutes, she goes, it's just not fair anymore, because you would... Yeah, and it gets a bit boring, and you know the girls know that I have to shut the music off because of the hall, not because of me, but because of the venue. The music had to go off after half an hour, and he just wasn't funny. Yeah. So yeah, it's not funny. So I think brides need to keep that in mind. Is just, you know, your DJ can have authority, and let them know how much authority you want them to have. They don't care if they sound rude, as long as you know you've told them they're allowed to say that. If you've told them you can say that, then you know that you're not, the DJ's not doing anything wrong. If your uncle then wants to moan and groan about your DJ afterwards, let them. It doesn't matter. Your DJ don't care. But at least you guys know.
Your bride, and you've, you know, allowed and enabled them to have, you know, the what they pay for. Frankly.
Yeah, exactly. My next tip would be book your DJ in advance. Don't leave it till the last minute. So many people, the first thing they think about, I've noticed this, is venue, hair and makeup, and then they go for the food, then they go for the decor. Yeah, no, it is, and I'm not saying it's not, but don't book your DJ 2 weeks before the event, because especially in summer, we get fully booked up. And if you're looking for a female DJ or you want something different, I had one where I spoke to the bride about doing the mehndi and the wedding. She booked me just for the mehndi. On the day of the mehndi, the mum said to me, we really want you for the wedding day. The wedding day is now 3 days later. And I said, I can't, I'm booked. And she goes, no, you have to be there. And I said, I can't, I'm booked for another event. And she goes, well, can't you find someone else to do the other event? I said, I can't, I'm really sorry, but that's their mehndi as well. But had you have booked me for the wedding in advance, then obviously I would never have taken on anyone else's booking.
Sometimes, even with me, somebody books me, you know, for one event and maybe not their main day. And I've had that in the past, and they're like begging, please, Sophie, can you just do it? And I'm really sorry, I've got another booking. You can't cancel one for the other. It's just not fair. So you're absolutely right about planning in advance.
I think
do you send out like a recording of yourself maybe, or anything like that, so that people can get an idea of how you present, the kind of things you say? Because it's not just playing music, is it? There's so much more to it.
Yeah, no, I send out videos and stuff to the brides in advance. I explain to them, especially like Gujarati weddings and Muslim weddings, there's specific songs. So Gujarati weddings, there are specific songs that when they walk around the fairas and stuff, what songs they want. I can explain to them that I have all that music. I know when it's all being played. I can talk to their priest and talk about when certain stuff should be played and what they want. I also, with the Muslim weddings, I do say that, you know, if your family is overly religious and you only want nasheeds, I don't understand what the nasheeds are saying, but I have all the wedding nasheeds. I can play them. I can play instrumentals. I can play more Bollywood. So I'm very open to the fact that they can run how they want to run it. But if they don't book me and I get booked, I know with you it's slightly different. I think with us, like if I've got a booking, I've got a booking. With you, they probably expect that you can just, well, why can't you do them first and then go to the other booking, or vice versa? But you need
there is some flexibility. But again, you know, when it's bridal, generally, you don't want to take too many brides in one day. Like, there has to be a limit. It depends on where they are as well. And mostly, a lot of, you know, bridal timing is generally the same. So, you know, if you have a morning booking, they want to be ready by 8, for example, or 6:30. You know, everybody kind of wants to be ready about that time, depending on whether it's a Sikh wedding, Hindu wedding, Muslim wedding. Muslim weddings tend to be more in the evening, lunchtime. Nikah is maybe about 4 o'clock, so they've got like all day to kind of get ready. Sikh events are super early.
Morning.
So yeah, they can clash because people's ready times are generally quite similar.
But also you want to make sure that you're giving. You want to make sure you're giving 100% to that person as well. Like I've had decor companies. I'll actually tell you the story, even though I'm not a decor company. But being a DJ, you get to see all the stuff. I was at a wedding, and it was. I won't name names. It was. And I can tell you now, you had to have a lot of money to have booked this venue in the first place. So I'm there, I've set up and everything in my corner, and I'm watching this decor company, and it was a floral frame. So it wasn't just a full frame, it was one that had a gap in the middle, so it looked like but I'm talking about like a 12-foot floral frame. And all of a sudden,
I know what you mean. They're beautiful.
Sorry?
I know what you mean, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're really nice. But what happened is this frame is supposed to be straight.
You get yourself like photos taken.
No, but this was huge. This was for the back of the actual back of the decor of the stage. So you're talking about 12-foot high by like 16-foot wide. It was massive. But what happened is it was supposed to be straight like this, and when they were setting it up, it broke. So it went like this.
No.
So I'm watching from where I am, and
No.
they started getting like butter knives, and they're sticking it into this frame to try and straighten it. Now, remembering this frame it's big, but it's not like, it's not going to fix. It's still going to have a bit of a dent.
Not when it's
so I'm watching them.
Across, butter knife is not going to fix it.
No.
I
So
can
I'm watching them, and one of the ladies from the decor company was standing next to me, and she goes, you know, she goes, we've had so many bookings. We've had like 9 in a row. And she goes, today, like, we were making this at 4 o'clock at night. She was obviously looking at me to give her some sympathy. And I looked back at her and I said, well, you shouldn't have taken the booking. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, if you knew you had too many bookings, you took this booking with the assumption that you're just going to be able to pull it out of nowhere. But you knew what the bride was asking. You could have said to the bride, sorry, I can't do it. And if you can't, like, I've had DJ bookings like 9 in a row, and I'm getting tired, but I know I have to do my job. So I don't take anything else on during the day so that I can rest and be ready for the next event. And so I just looked at her and I said, I'm sorry, I can't feel sorry for you, because if you can't give 110% to your client, you shouldn't take on that booking. And this poor girl, she had, I mean, they had supercars outside, they had drones, so they put a lot of money, and all her photos, I assume, would have had a little dip like this rather than being completely straight, because the floral thing fell.
I would be worried as well that it would break during the event.
Yeah.
As well. Like, I would just say, okay, let's scrap this and do something else altogether. It's a hazard. By the sound of things. Someone's got a question. Quick question. Dear C2 Present says, quick question. How many people are allowed at weddings this year? I'm getting a lot of loads of inquiries for bookings in the northeast.
I believe it's 30.
Yeah, that's what I think. 30.
I believe it's 30. However, admittedly, I have had inquiries where I've been told, I'm having a mehndi ceremony, we've got a massive garden, we're going to be completely social distance, the tables are going to be far apart. Are you okay with that? And I've said, well, as long as the liability is on you and not me, and you're staying away from me and I'm still 2 meters away from everyone, it's entirely up to you. Because if someone comes and shut down your party, you just have to remember that you've still got to pay me for the time that you booked me. At the end of the day, I can't help it if you're not, you know.
You know what? A lot of people do have, like, you know, next door neighbours that they have like 2 gardens joined together, or they own like 3 houses on that road. I know a family and they own everything, like 4 or 5 houses next door to each other. So if their gardens open up, you know, the amount of space they've got just at home is insane. So even my mum, I went to one mehndi party where this garden was so big, they had a marquee over their pool. Then they had a marquee where I was going to be. They had another marquee where the food was going to be. And the garden still had massive space. And they had a tennis court in the back. I was like, wow. Amazing. I think for Asian weddings anyway, I think a lot of families have always done sort of little marquee events, like pre-wedding events, or like pre-wedding doggies, or, you know, just, you know, even days and days in the run up to the wedding, you know, just constant home partying. So they've set up a marquee outdoors anyway. So I think for Asian families, it's not going to be a big thing. The fact that having everyone come to the house is going to be like a normal Friday afternoon.
Exactly.
30 people. Is that it?
Exactly. Well, my wedding went on for about 5 days, but it was in Spain though. But we had a massive villa, and it just went on. Every day was a party. The day after my wedding was still a party. They were still partying when I went there. And then I left, and my brother and them were still having parties.
Give us your top tip for a destination wedding off the top of your head. Top tip.
Top tip would be choose the right destination. Think about people that are going to come. Like, for example, the reason we went to Spain was my uncle had an apartment there. He found this restaurant that you could have weddings on the back. But I thought about the fact that if people are going to pay to come to my wedding, if I had it say somewhere like Greece, they probably couldn't afford to stay very long. So they may have only literally come out for 3 days. Some people may not have been able to afford the accommodation, afford the flights. So in Spain, where I was, I went and done my due diligence. I went and found a apartment block that people could book. I found out how much it all was. The price that people paid to come to my wedding, they actually got like a week's holiday out of it in that area,
Yeah,
rather than just
nice. And also it's so affordable to go to Spain, and Spain is so beautiful and so versatile. Each day you could have a different type of holiday depending on where you go or what you do.
Watching, if you want to have a destination wedding, maybe not this year but next year, then hit me up, because I'm definitely going to tell you where to go, because the wedding was amazing, and I think quite a few of my family members are on here and they'll agree that the wedding was absolutely amazing. I'm not saying that because it's my wedding. I'm saying, like, we had our mandap was on the beach, so behind me,
pictures of those are so beautiful.
Yeah, you could see the sea behind me. You could see, like, you were walking on the, were outside. It was amazing. And my English wedding was also on the beach, but on the opposite side. So yeah, definitely, if you're going to do an abroad wedding, think about the destination. Don't just think about yourself. I know, like, places like Greece and stuff are amazing, but shop around.
It's nice to give your clients the cost, not clients, it's nice to give your guests the costing as well, because I think some people do panic when they get an invitation for abroad. They start thinking, oh no, you know, especially now, especially after these last 6 months we've had, it can be quite frightening to think, oh god, I've got to fork out quite a lot. So I think along with your invitation, it's nice to put, like, here's recommended hotels, here's like approximate costing.
I done all of that
straight away, or sort of think, oh, you know.
And I think you have to be realistic as well. Like, as a DJ, I said to my mum, and this is how I managed to end up with the destination wedding. I said to my mum, if I have a wedding in the UK, I'm going to want the biggest DJ setup. I'm going to want the most expensive mandap ever. When you start adding, and the venue itself as well, when you start adding all that up, it worked out that my mandap in the end was literally, it was, you know, like the outside metal of, say, a gazebo. It was that, and they lined it with coloured fabric, and it was very plain, but that is what it needed to be because of where it was, because you could see the sea and the beach.
You didn't want to take away from.
No,
it needs to be so ostentatious.
And price-wise as well. Like, if I wanted a full-on wooden mandap, okay, in that particular area you couldn't get it, but in other areas you can. But then you're adding that cost on, whereas sometimes you just don't need it. People don't care for things like that. They care, you know, it's about the experience as well. So definitely,
There's nothing better than being on the beach. Like, it's one of my favourite places.
Exactly. Exactly why I wanted my wedding there.
Have you got many tips left? We've got like 5 minutes.
Have we?
And no, we don't. I think because we did start a little bit later, so we could probably go over. I know about at an hour, Instagram cuts you off. So
it does.
Probably got about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah, that's fine. I don't have that many left. I was going to say the next one would be trust your DJ. So once you've spoken to your DJ, once you've given them the sort of kind of music feel you want and stuff, trust your DJ. Because the worst thing is, yes, DJs, okay, all DJs don't like taking requests, but some will be okay. I'm okay with taking requests. But the worst thing is, if I am trying to, like, speed up the music, I know you have to cut off at 11 o'clock, and at 10 to 11 someone comes and asks for this, like, soppy sort of slow Bhangra track, and you're just like, well, you've just killed the vibe. Like, but trust your DJ. If there's specific songs you want, you really, like, it's your favorite song, you and your friends, I've had people say to me, like, Bole Churia, like, you have to play Bole Churia because me and my friends dance to it, or whatever it is. Tell your DJ in advance, and they'll make sure that they get those songs in, but trust them to play the rest. It does
make a difference, doesn't it? Sometimes, like, you get this, like, really fast-paced song and, like, a really dull song. You think, oh, you know, and then it doesn't go, and you feel like it's all disjointed. You know, you can't get sort of super hyped and excited, and then like, oh, why didn't they play this next?
Why did they play that? And then you've got this one person in the corner that's dancing to it because that's the person that asked for it. So I think that follows on to the next tip, is that let your DJ know whether they should or shouldn't take requests. I've had weddings, no, well, mendies where I've gone to where they've said, you know what, don't worry about people asking you for requests. If you don't think it fits in with what I've asked you to play, don't play it. And I'm like, okay. Whereas I've had others that have said, no, whatever they ask for, you have to play it. So, you know, when they suddenly ask for some love song in the middle of, like, a Bhangra song, I play it. And some people look at me like I'm crazy, but it's not my fault. It's what you've asked me to do, so I've done it. So I think that's quite important, is just trust your
I think that
DJ
goes
and
across
give
your
them
suppliers as well. But trust also comes from, you know, getting to know your supplier. You know, take time to talk to them, take time to explain what you're looking for, what you really want. You know, think about what you really want as well. You know, what do I want from the music? What do I want from the look that I'm creating? Each
yeah.
part of your wedding, with each supplier, really think about what you want that person to deliver. Jess Roy says, what is the most requested Asian song you get?
What is the most requested
Yeah, what's the
Asian
top
song?
track?
Top track. I would have to say it is normally Bale Bale,
Yeah.
Morni, or Sadi Gully. Everybody loves Sadi Gully. It doesn't matter how many years on we go, Sadi Gully is still the biggest song. Yeah. When you say requested, I have to say that because of the type of music I play, because it's a lot of Bollywood, Bhangra, English, I don't tend to get a lot of requests because I hit the nail on the head. So I don't, and that's not, I'm not trying to be big-headed. It's because I've spoken to my bride. I know what, if they say to me, we don't like a lot of R&B, so drop a few big ones in there. Whereas other people will say to me, we love R&B, we love the English stuff, we love the Bollywood, we love the Bhangra. I'll make sure I play some Kevin Little. And it's really good. I think the best feeling as a DJ is when you drop a song and all the girls start screaming and you're like, yes. Like, I just get this moment and I'm going, yes. I done it right. I got that right song. Because, you know, like Kevin Little Turn Me On can be a bit of a hit and miss one, especially at female only events. You're like, are they going to like this, or are they going to suddenly go, and when they start screaming their heads off, you're like, yes, I done it. Definitely. And my last tip is probably just enjoy your day. So once you've given, and like you said with the suppliers, is trust your suppliers. So once you've spoken to your makeup artist and you've done your, you know what kind of look they're going to do, then that you've booked them for a reason. You like their work. So don't get over like upset, if you see what I mean. Because a lot of brides do that. Like they'll be ringing me with their makeup artist going, oh, have you set up yet? Are you ready? Are you done this? Have you done that? Oh, do you know this? And have you got this? Don't worry, you've told me everything. You've given me everything. You've given me your music. You don't need to panic. Enjoy yourself. Sorry?
Georgie Khan says, I feel like dancing now.
Yeah.
It's been super helpful.
I know. I think I need to do another live DJ session, to be honest. I stopped doing them for a while. I think I need to.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think
really
that's the biggest one, is enjoy your day. So once you've trusted your suppliers to do what they're doing, then enjoy yourself. So if you do drink,
I think it came up in another live as well. Another live, I think I did it with Pavna. She was doing photography. But I think another really important point is where your suppliers are going to park, because especially for you guys and me, but even especially for you guys, you've got so much kit, heavy stuff. You need access, good access. You need to be able to park. Some of these venues, it's all just yellow lines everywhere. And there's no parking. There's nobody around to help you. Anybody who is around kind of turns around and like ignores you and avoids you like a plague.
I once was booked at a venue in East London, which was upstairs. It was actually above a pub, which was really weird. It was a really small venue, but there was no parking, and I had to park, like, I kid you not, probably about a 5 to 10 minute walk. Can you imagine the pain? Because I couldn't leave my car there because I'm not about to get a ticket. So I had to walk with this equipment. I had to keep going back and forth. And the venue themselves were ridiculous. Like, they weren't helping me. I said to them, is it all right? Like, can I leave the stuff downstairs? Do I need to take it upstairs? What should I do? And they were just ignoring me. And I'm like, I don't understand, like, where you want me to put my stuff right now. And they were still trying to do their tables. They hadn't even got them ready. So even if I was going upstairs, my stuff was sort of getting in the way and tripping people up. And I'm like, I don't have a choice, because I'm
just grab something and run off with it. It's really
and that
worrying.
stuff's
like,
expensive.
I have a couple of bags. And if I leave, and sometimes they say, oh, you know, it's okay, just leave it here. And I'm like, no, I'm not leaving my kit. Because if my stuff goes missing, that ride's not going to look like a ride. Do you know what I mean? So,
and my thing is, like, I can't leave my car open, so I have to take out one bit at a time, because I don't take out the laptop and stuff first. It's the way I've got my car set up. The laptop's on the other side. If I leave my car unlocked, someone could steal my laptop, that's the end of it. They're probably not going to go and steal a speaker. They're a bit too heavy to take, but there is still quite expensive stuff.
As well.
Sorry?
A little bit noticeable as well.
Yeah, exactly. If they're running down with like a speaker in there, they're not going to run very far in the first place. But generally, like the laptop and the controller, any one of those bits goes missing, and that's the end of the like gig. So I have to take one bit out, shut the boot, go upstairs, put the stuff down. And that's the other thing, that final thing, because I know we need to go, is that if you've got a venue that hasn't got accessibility, think about that before you book it, because there are venues where there are stairs and you want a female DJ to try and carry her equipment. Now I put that into a contract now, that you have to let me know, because if there are stairs, either I'm going to give myself a bit more time knowing that I've got to get myself up there, or I'm going to have to bring someone with me to lift that equipment up the stairs, because what am I supposed to do? I'm still, you know, I hate to say it, because, you know,
especially the manor houses.
Yeah,
they're a nightmare, because they don't have generally a lift, and the room is like 5 billion miles away from the entrance and like where you parked, and you've got all this kit and it's heavy, you know.
It's heavy.
And sometimes some of these brides are so tiny and petite, and I'm, shall I carry it for you? And I'm like it's like 12 times your weight, you know.
I know, no, and the thing is, like, I hate to say it, because I hate saying this in this context, but I'm still a female. I'm carrying a huge speaker that is heavy. So any female carrying that speaker is going to have trouble getting that up flight of stairs. And that's where I'm like, I need to know. It sounds so bad, but if I know there's stairs, I need to take a separate set of clothes with me, because by the time I've got my stuff up the stairs, I'm probably sweating like anything. As disgusting as it sounds, I probably am, and I don't want to sit like that the whole event. You know, I actually, it sounds so bad, but I take wipes and stuff with me, because I can't have a shower after I've lifted all this stuff up the stairs. So I have to somehow make myself still presentable. I'm not going to sit there smelling of sweat at your event the whole time.
That's the thing. You actually have to then be a part of the wedding, whereas once we're done, we kind of like
you're done. Yeah. There's also a question here that says, Vallisa.
Yeah.
Where are you based? So I'm actually based in Hertfordshire, in near Enfield. Yeah, but I travel everywhere. So I've traveled to like Torquay. I've traveled to Birmingham, Manchester. I do a lot of London bookings, because there are other female DJs I know up north that I can book if I'm not, you know, able to travel there. I've done Wales. I've been to Cardiff 2 days in a row, come back in the evening because I had a radio show in the morning, and then gone back to Cardiff in the evening for another event. So that's quite crazy. But yeah, I travel everywhere. I've traveled abroad as well, so I can do bookings abroad if needs be.
Fantastic. That's okay. And little details are all going to be listed in the caption as well, because this is going to get uploaded to the IGTV series. All her details are going to be there. You just click on the tag, and you know, it will take you to her page. You've just launched a new page, Insta page as well, haven't you, Vallisa Events? Is it?
Yes. So I've actually got two. I've got Vallisa
remaining.
Okay, so Vallisa Events is basically online networking. I can do cocktail nights, I can do bingo nights, escape rooms. So if you've got friends that you want to just do an event with, then hit me up. You can contact me on this page as well. It doesn't have to be on Vallisa Events.
That'd be good for like hen do's as well.
Yeah, hen do's, or if you're not going to do a big Mendy and you want to do something small just with your friends online, I can do that. And also,
I don't want to do the typical thing either, so that's really good to know, actually.
And I can do small garden parties. So if you want to do like cocktail or mocktail making, I can bring all the stuff there and do like cocktails and mocktails with you. So you follow what I do, and I give you little versions of the drinks, and you make them yourself, and then have a little like disco afterwards or something. So yeah,
very, very
and the other one is Vallisa the Adventurer, which is basically my travel page, because I travel a lot. So that's just my traveling stuff, and I've just literally launched
I'll tag all of them in the caption.
Cool.
We have 18 seconds remaining. Vallisa, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me, and so informative. It was such a nice experience, and I think everybody's loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Bye.